Hey everyone, welcome to Family Ayurveda. My name is Erica Walton. I'm one of the co-founders. My business partner, Janie Farnsworth, she's not here right now. I'm doing my own video. And I am going to share about my health journey. I'm gonna try and simplify it because I feel like it's long. I've technically always been conscious and aware enough of health because I grew up in Santa Cruz, California, and I was the kid in like grade school and like kindergarten and stuff. I'd try and trade my friends for their like yummy snacks because my mom would give me healthy things. I'd get like all the healthy food and I didn't like it and I always wanted to try everyone else's. So that was when I was younger, but I really started to get curious about my health when I graduated high school and I went into college and I got really depressed and I got anxiety and graduating high school, I was really skinny and I was about 100 pounds. From the anxiety and depression, the doctor put me on Lexapro. I was really, really depressed. And I went from 100 pounds to 165 pounds in 6 months. Obviously, that was not fun to deal with, and it did not help my anxiety or depression. I just felt really numb and I still felt miserable. So after about 6 months being on that medication, I decided I want to get off of this. And I also now have a whole bunch of weight to lose. Hitting 165 pounds was a lot for my frame. And I decided to try a more natural, I guess you'd call it depression, anti-anxiety pill, and it was SAM-E. And then, I lost all the weight and was less depressed and less anxious. And that was about when I was like 18 through 20. And then I would say sometime after that, I started diving into the different diets, like being vegan and vegetarian and pescatarian and keto and raw food and this and that. I was trying all of the different diets for a while. I'd like kind of circulate all of them. I wasn't noticing much of a difference, but I had this therapist that she was pretty amazing, and she was like, "Erica, I noticed you're losing your hair," and I was like, "Yeah, why do you think I am doing that?" And she was like, "Well, I think it's because right now you're trying the vegan diet." I think I was doing like vegan for like, I don't know, it's 6 months to a year. I'd been doing it for a while. And she was like, "I think it'd be really good for you to eat animal products and that would help you." And I was really against it at the time, but I was like, okay, fine, like I'm gonna try it. And I went back and I started feeling better, but I felt mentally guilty about eating animals. But my hair grew back, I started looking better, and I just really though didn't feel healthy in my body. At that time, I started developing urinary bacterial and yeast infections, and I kid you not, I ended up going in and out of the doctor's office for every month for about like 5 years. And I was always on some, antibiotic or suppository or a gel or this or that. And that wasn't working. And my doctor did all these tests on me, and she couldn't figure out, why is it that I'm chronically having all these infections, like all the time, 5 years, like wouldn't stop. So, and the other thing, actually there was a few other things. So I had like eczema on my arms. I'm wearing a sweater. You can't see my arms. Anyways, but I had like really bad red bumps on my arms, and it was always really inflamed, and it was bumpy. And it wasn't pleasant to look at. It didn't hurt, so it didn't really bother me. But I had that. And then the other thing was I had stomach aches a lot. And I never knew what they were from. So I kind of, since I was having them so frequently, I just thought they were normal. And then I would say my partner at the time, I was dating this woman, we were planning on getting married, and she was like, Erica, you really need to take your health more seriously. And I was like, what do you mean? I'm healthy. Nothing's wrong with me. What are you talking about? And she was like, you have stomach aches all the time. You're always going to the bathroom, and you have these bumps on your arms, and like you're kind of puffy. And I was like, you're wrong, and you're critical, and you're mean. And I don't know what else I said. And I got like really defensive about it because I just thought that was normal. I was just really unaware. And she was like, and aren't you concerned that you always have an infection? And I was like, well, I try and do something about it, and it doesn't improve, like, ever. And I've been going all the time for years to the doctor, and they've never been able to help me. And she's like, I think you should do a cleanse. And I was like, a cleanse? I've never done a cleanse before. She's like, well, I've done tons of them. You should do it. So I was like, okay. So I was talking to my family about doing a cleanse, and then one of my family members was like, oh, I know this Chinese medical doctor you could go and see. And he's in LA. He's actually in Santa Monica. I was living down in Los Angeles for a time period. And I remember she said it's called the Golden Cabinet. And so I made an appointment with this doctor, and I remember the first time I walked into his office, I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Because, I was used to going to a medical doctor's office and for Western medicine. I'd never seen a Chinese medical doctor. I'd never even really heard of that before. And his office was like beautiful. And it was from like floor to ceiling apothecary with like herbs and jars and books, and it was really interesting. I'd never seen something like that before. And I had my consultation with him. I assumed it's gonna be like 5-15 minutes because that's how long you see your doctor. But I got to actually sit with this doctor, this Chinese medical doctor, I think I sat with him for like an hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours. I was there for a while, and he asked me all these questions about my life and what was going on with my body and my diet. And so he then put me on a cleanse. And during this cleanse, I had to do stool tests and urine tests and all kinds of, I was like, this is so fascinating. How come my regular doctor doesn't do any of these things? Anyway, so after that first cleanse, besides I was super intrigued with health, my stomach aches significantly reduced. Not 100%, but I would say they reduced by somewhere between 30 and 40%. And my infections, urinary bacterial and yeast infections, had also reduced about that. And I was like, this is really interesting. So because that experience with him, I started going back to all those diets I had tried initially, like vegan and vegetarian and pescatarian, fruitarian and raw food, and like all those things. I started trying them, this time I decided to research them and see like what are the long-term benefits, what are the side effects, what are, how have people handled on these diets, and like what's the research. So I did a deep dive, and I got really curious about the body from that. And at that time, I also started sitting in ayahuasca ceremonies. And I think it was like my third ceremony or my fourth ceremony. And I came to the altar with that intention, like, what would be a good lifestyle of food and something that is holistic and that actually works? Because when I was looking at all the statistics, it wasn't really great results for long term. And I was like, I don't know about all these diets. And so in my ayahuasca ceremony, I literally saw, because I don't know if you've ever done an ayahuasca ceremony, but I've done enough of them. And you close your eyes and you're either laying or you're sitting, and you're kind of watching a movie within yourself. And at least that's been my experience. And I saw and I heard this ancient holistic practice is going to come into my life soon. And then I saw like written, it was cursive, but then next to it was like written like a Sanskrit design. I didn't know what that was at the time, but that's what it appeared. And it said, I think it was like AYU or AYUR, something like that. But it was scribbled, and I was like, that's interesting. I have no idea what that is. And I'm going to leave it right there. And I will do another video that shares about my discovery, remembrance, realization, reconnection with Ayurveda. I'm excited to share that one. I really want to tell you now, but I'm not going to. But that was kind of a summary of my health journey, and I appreciate you taking the time to listen. It was quite an adventure. Anyways, I hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.